let's see, share, copy, auto find life sources, paste, okay. All right, I think we are ready to roll. Hi, Bosh. All right, let's get my stuff up over here. All right. So let's see, let's scoot you over here just a little bit so I have a little more breathing room in front of me. And I think about, got these other pages in here. Did those last night. Do you like those ships? Those are okay. So making her too tall. I want to shorten her up a lot, but I think we're getting close to finalizing the characters. So I want to pull up some of these beats on the sides to see about sketching out one of their beats here. And there's my little checklist page. Right there. It's not over there. It's definitely not you. It's not you, or you. Is it buried in here? There you are. So what do I need? I need my characters finalized so I can work on those later. Equipment, I do need to design some of that stuff. I think we're getting close. So that's good. Yeah, sorry, just talking to myself over here. But I did have some thoughts on kind of some of these shots of the city. So I think I can get rid of some of this. Let's see. It needs to be rotated. Here, rotate that. Anyway, hello. Well, I don't know. I've been on. Check my listing there. Definitely been around. Trying to figure out how to rotate something in here and flip it. Is it a 3-finger thing? Is it 1 finger? 2 finger? Nope, not 4 finger. Oh, what did I do? Alright, I'll restart that app. It's breaking on the VizRef. Not clear how to rotate an image. I assumed it was already rotated, but I guess it was not. Hello over there, Opus. Oh yeah, dino drawings. Yeah, I was doing those in the morning. I finished that book though, so how do you rotate something in BizRef? Where's the instructions here? I thought you could rotate things in here. Lion draw? Never drawn a lion. So I was thinking about doing was sketching out. I was just hoping this would be rotated properly. Some of these things are upside down. I don't know why. They were right side up when I put them in here. Alright, I'm not hearing anything this guy's saying. Does anyone use BizRef? How do you flip stuff or rotate stuff in BizRef? It's an iPad reference app, and it looks like a bunch of stuff is rotated. I don't know why. Because it wasn't originally. Now it's like crashing out on me for some reason. Maybe I got too much stuff in here. Or you can just rotate the whole page, I guess, but I wanted to know how to rotate an actual image. No, it's not letting me select anything. There we go. I'll have to look it up some other time, I guess. That's weird. Yeah, sorry. Just I assumed this was something would be easy, but apparently it is not easy to do what I want to do. So you can flip things, you just can't rotate them, which is weird. You can crop, can move, scale. Let's see, this is really annoying. All of a sudden, BizRef, where's my search on here? Not there. Anybody know how to rotate in BizRef? Bye bye. Have a good one, Opus. I just assumed it would work like you would think it would work, but it is not working. Let's see. BizRef, is there a manual? Multitasking. Where's my Google search? I'll put a page up over. Dancing around. I don't want that. Come on. Why does it always have to be some stupid little thing? I know I have Google on here. Wait, that's not. There's the drive. Alright. Hang on. Good. How to rotate image in BizRef. Just hit the eye contact. Oh, that's fine, but I want to rotate individual image. Alright, well, it looks like I can just hit that eye thing. So, anyway. Yo! So, where's the eye? Hit the eye. I can rotate the whole page, which is fine, but that's not really what I wanted to do. But I guess that will work, because I was just trying to get this thing angled the correct direction so I can look at it properly. There we go. I just had some thoughts on some of the city stuff for this, and so I wanted to set it up properly and with my reference, and suddenly it was like, nope, we're not going to do what you thought you could do. Probably haven't figured out properly yet, but this should be good enough for now for what I want. So this is a continuation of my little Bramble project, and let's see, do I need that light on? Yes. The thought here was, I wanted to kind of come up with some ideas for the city, even though the city doesn't really show up that much in the story treatment I've put together. I had some thoughts that I wanted to deal with, and before I can, just because I think I should have that somewhat considered. And yeah, for those that aren't familiar with the story, the essential story idea is basically humans have settled on this world, and the world itself, if I put it over here to the side, it kind of looks like a giant tangle of plants and brambles, and there's kind of evidence of past civilizations on there and everything, but there's nobody there now, and that's an important aspect of the story, is that the evidence of the former civilizations are not present in the story. Let's just put some verticals in here for myself. And anyway, so the humans have settled kind of forcibly to a certain degree. There was a problem aboard their multi-generational colony ship, and they've been forced to kind of arrive and settle. They can't really leave the planet. It doesn't have like fossil fuels and things that we would need, sufficient power to kind of break free from the gravity, and so they're kind of stuck. Let's move this out of the way. Swaps. I need some water too up here in a second. I'm going to get a water in a minute. But anyway, yeah, so the humans have kind of settled into a section of these plants, or this tangle of what appears to be plants, and they live there, and they've kind of got a well-established civilization, and they over a period of time, they kind of develop their own social structure and all that that's going on. And at the moment that the story happens, things are kind of coming to a head. There's some disagreements about how things should be, what's supposed to be going on, and who can do what, and what they want to do with their future. But in the middle of that, how to maybe they're still dealing with the problem of reconnecting with Earth. That's long kind of in the memory. And then there's this evidence of these aliens that used to live there, but are no longer apparently present. And so in the middle of that, a bureaucrat and his daughter take an excursion out to a restricted zone, kind of a reserve park that people aren't supposed to go into, because there's dangerous animals, and they're worried about things kind of getting tampered with, and so they're not allowed to go just anywhere they want. They have to kind of stay near the city or in the city, even if it's just for their own safety. But he takes this young lady who's a guide has access to a glider plane that will take them out there, and they go out and start checking out some of these sites and kind of run into some serious problems. But anyways, we've been thinking about the city kind of being built into like a hollow of the planet. So I did some drawings of that here, thinking about the kind of this turkey tail lichen, and then some of the interior spaces, things like that. So, thicken these things up so they've got a certain amount of depth on them, maybe implying that humans have kind of moved inside of them. So, yeah, I've kind of been working in this area, working on this sketch for the next little bit. I'm probably gonna run out and get a drink. It's a little warm up here in this room, and almost out of fluids. And I'm thinking about doing like a shorter story, kind of a heist about this guide initially, just to kind of tell us some things about her. So, yeah, I thought I'd do some sketches. I have some images of like this turkey tail moss that I've picked up over the years, and thought I would use that as a reference here. Just thinking about the city layout a bit. So that's what we're working on here right now. I guess I can zoom in on that area for you. It's been quite light for now, but it'll get darker pretty quickly, I think. I appreciate that. Hopefully it's easier to see now. Looks like my camera got pointed down a little bit. There we go. Hello, camera. Over there on the left. this off a little bit. Here. All right, and then we're going to have some verticality coming up over here. I would do this as a little composition. Good afternoon. Try to zoom in over here. Probably should let you zoom in too. There we go. Yeah, I might lay down and get some water before I die of thirst up here. Good afternoon, everybody popping in. Happy Saturday. Alright, let's get some markers out. Start with 20. of the light and shadows first. Let's see. Well, that's good, right? Good to have lots of business. You know, it's better than not having it. He got out. He was that offended, huh? Sorry about that. Hopefully they got a tip before he got offended. Let's see, 50, 40, 20, 30. There we go. Make sure my markers are in the right order here. There you go, not bad. 25%. Alright. Let's see if these are still working from last night. Get these ink things going here. Alright, starting to come out. I wish these were just like would work a little quicker. Of course, it'll probably help if I use them more often. There we go. Now it's starting to flow, alright. That's a good thickness to start with. Alright. And then I want to do this, and I want to think about maybe doing some kind of MacGuffin story to start off with before I get into the main one. I feel really good about where the script is with the Bramble thing, but I thought it would help to maybe do some shorter stories first. Maybe something that's like 10 pages long or something, a few couple of those, or shorter. See if I get this fat one going too while I'm at it. There you go. You still got some ink in you. There we go. Alright. These three are ready to roll. Drawing is great, right? It's good to have a project and a product in mind. Um, um, to knock out this kind of foreground area first. I'm paying attention to the horizon line there, so this is below, this is above, and really indicate that with the overlaps. Let's get a nice thick line around that real quick. Make sure this one's still a nice little holding line. Oh yeah? Sounds like trouble to me. Just using this one. There we go. All right. Come on, little pen. You can do it. All right. Come on, you. Come out. Alright, I need some water before I die. I'll be right back. Be right back. Water break. Yeah, really what I need to go is go get a little AC window unit for the upstairs here. Sorry, Bosh. It's okay. I just bumped something with my foot. You're okay. And it gets really warm up here. Or move all this downstairs. Come on, ink flow. Good afternoon. Let's see, here we go. Where did it go? It was just flowing a second ago. Come on, you, Mr. Rapidograph. Gotta move your spot there, buddy. Ain't got too warm. Yeah, I was having trouble with Bosch today. Come on, you just come out. We were just working 2 seconds ago. We were drawing with you over there very happily. I really taste the ink coming out. Come on, Rapidographs, do your thing. You're great when you're working. Why aren't you working? Come on. Is there actually ink in there? Or is it empty? Might be empty. Go ahead and carefully extract this thing here and see how we're doing ink-wise. Yeah, I don't think there's... Let's see how it looks inside. There's not a lot in there, so maybe we need some fresh ink. I might need to order some more of this stuff. Enough. Alright, where's that? Put this back together again. Clean that up, make sure they're not, gonna make a big mess. So there's ink coming out the tip now. Sheesh. Made a big mess on my fingers. This is just ink, right? Alright. Part of me, I just like the idea of using real ink. And so I've been reticent to give up on these things. Let's see, where did I put the little brown piece at? Other way. And put this back together again. Alright, let's see how it does now. Ah, there's a lot of ink. I think it was just low. Alright, user error, right? As usual. Alright, enough of this. Gosh. And I hate shorts. Wish they would just go away. I don't know why. social media companies are so fixated on them. So I don't think they're nearly as popular as they say. I have a hunch. It's not like I have people sending me really amazing shorts that they've seen, right? Yeah, it's working so much better. I think it's a little low on the ink. So I think that answered that question. Alright. Sounds like it's not clogged. It was working, so now I know. You missed the question. I don't remember what the question was. No, but I was wondering why the ink wasn't flowing out of here, because this is the rapidograph, Koh-i-Noor rapidograph pen. And it's kind of a traditional technical inking tool, yeah, as opposed to something like a Micron, which is more of like a marker in terms of its ink. But these use real ink as opposed to that stuff. So I definitely prefer using this over that, and just because it's real ink. But sometimes it kind of acts a little strange. And usually because it's running low on ink, or it's just not been used in a while, and so that can impact the quality of the user experience with the tool. And it was definitely impacting mine, but it looked like it was full, but it was not at all. So, yeah, but I have no idea what the question was. I got my water though, so that's good. Bosch moved over to the side. Yeah, Bosch is having trouble today. My poor dog. Well, they're expensive. The rapidographs, these technical pens. Staedtler makes them too. There's a number of different brands out there. This is the most kind of famous one. I got a set off of eBay for about 40 USD, which is a lot cheaper than a brand new one. And this one's, it's missing the wrenches, so things to help you take it apart. Like you really need to get in and really clean it out. And so it doesn't have those. But it was a complete set, and only one of the pens had ever been used. And so I was like, that's a pretty good deal. Because the new set of complete ones is like 120 bucks or something. So I was kind of watching a number of ones that were similar and jumped on that one. That's a good overlap, would be helpful there, I think. So put overlap in there. But they're not like they're not a fairly typical tool anymore. Like it's pretty rare for people to use, and they're nice though. I just like them just because they use real ink as opposed to the marker ink, which isn't nearly as nice. So But anyway, they use real ink, so they do take a little bit longer to dry. Regular markers like microns and that, they dry really, really fast. They're very dark. It's just that it's marker ink, not real ink. And that's the only kind of drawback, and it's not like a real drawback. Like, it's not practical for most situations. It's just something I wanted to do myself. So that's why we've got this all set up. And I haven't even used all of the pens yet. I've just used a few of them. So I've got like a super thick one, a couple of medium ones, and a really thin one that I've been using. But it's always the price of kind of learning new things. And often when I'm doing any kind of project, I'd like to set it up so that I'm doing something new. Because I always like to be learning new things if I can, so I'm not kind of getting too stuck on any one thing. And so I like to set these things up so that I can do that. This part of who I am gets me in trouble too, because I think I don't necessarily stick with things as long as maybe I should. Sometimes, where I can get distracted by this idea of constantly learning things. I think it's good to learn things and everything, but I tend to found that most people are really exceptional at something, like they do one thing really, really well. And hello from the tablet. Yeah, but my dog, he got himself in some trouble today. Not like naughty trouble or anything, but he poked one of the pads on his feet with a piece of glass out on our walk this morning, and that made him very sad for a good chunk of the morning. A nice little cut there on the bottom of his foot, and he did not like that at all. But so we took a look at it, and he skipped his breakfast and all that stuff. But seems like he's doing fine now. And then he put him outside during lunchtime, because he was feeling better by then, and he just stayed outside for like 2 or 3 hours. He just like asked me if he wants to come in. He would just look at me like I was a crazy person. Like, what do you mean come inside? I want to stay out here. It's really, really nice. He's enjoying the spring weather. I also did my first mowing of the lawns today. So that was very exciting, or something. And I guess the new season is upon us. So yeah, he's okay. He's just just poked his foot. It's like you ever stepped on a Lego or a thorn or something like that, right? Doesn't feel good. Nobody likes that. So he's fine now, but he was just very sad all morning long. Came in, didn't want his food, just wanted a hug. I carried him upstairs, put him in his little bed. But he's fine now. He's just it just hurt. Not nice when the world stabs you in the toe, right? No one likes that. That's no good at all. Nothing there. But yeah, he's fine now. It's just it hurt. It's no good when things hurt and the world just pokes you for no reason. Walking along, getting a good sniff, and all of a sudden, poke. Right in the toe. Yeah, so he's okay now. He had a nice afternoon, sitting out there in the sun, fresh cut grass to sniff. It's like I can stay out here all day until he wants to come in. Yeah, he's okay now. He's just not very happy about poking. I'll definitely take a look at it before we head out for our afternoon, evening walk. Usually around 4, so half an hour or so from now. But yeah, so kind of a little drama today. I think it hurt. It's nice, pretty good little poke there in the foot. So let's see what else I've been up to. I went to New York I guess a week ago. I was there for spring break. Poison ivy. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm allergic to poison ivy because I'm pretty sure I've been in it and it's like it's never affected me. It's not something I go out of my way to try, but I've never like gotten an itch off of it. I have from like witch hazel plant. So is my dog. Back when we were in Virginia, the thistles and the surface of witch hazel plants definitely picked up a good reaction off of those. But so I definitely had that experience once or twice. Bosch had it too. He had like all these little welts on his arm when he was a puppy. Put some hydrocortisone on that to temper that down. Yeah, stinging nettle, witch hazel. I know people like take the juices out of that and make it as like a cleaning material for skin and things like that, but by itself, it's pretty nasty stuff. Um, yeah, but that stuff definitely bothered me. Make sure I don't get this ink on there, right? It's a problem with using real ink, right, as opposed to marker ink. Yeah, I know that people like it for different stuff, but out in the wild, yeah, it's pretty, it can be pretty nasty. Yeah, but Bosch would definitely get little stingers all over him. Forgotten about it. I was digging through some old photos looking for something and saw these kind of baby pictures of Bosch when he was young. Little pup when we were in Pennsylvania. And had some pictures of those whelps. Took pictures because I was curious about them. Trying to figure out what was going on. Alright, I like like this song, but time to move on. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there like that, but Good. So yeah, imagine kind of the way the city works is on these turkey tail lichen, fungus, whatever they are, type things sticking out of the sides of one of these bramble structures. And maybe people have built buildings in between them, maybe hanging from them, you know, into the cracks of the bramble structures themselves. And feels almost like a microscopic world, but it's really just massive in scale. And again, people aren't sure why it's this way, but they don't have much of a choice. They're kind of stuck. I try to differentiate the human structures by letting them be more kind of even and obvious and less organic, you know, obviously less organic than the bramble stuff, but still kind of dense. So we'll see how that works out though, right? How's this one doing? Okay, it feels like there's something in there. North American viewers, is that what you're asking? I'm not sure. I kind of stream across multiple platforms, so it seems like I get people from all over the place in here. I haven't really focused on one region or another. In regards to the types of Kick viewers out there. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. I'm North American, but USA, living in Richmond, Virginia. But as for Canadians and Europeans and things like that, I'm not sure how the population is with Kick. All right, no problem. I haven't really done any research. I was like, oh well, I figured out how to multi-stream on OBS, and so I just kind of set it up to work that way. I haven't really worried about chasing the population too much. Maybe I should do that, but I appreciate that. That's just part of a larger kind of portfolio story project I'm working on, and thought I'd come in and work on this a bit this afternoon before I take the dog out for his evening W. kind of one of my pet peeves about a lot of concept art is there's usually no concept in it. So like here, the concept is trying to show how people would live or be attached to these locations, as opposed to just showing, you know, a general city. And for me, that's kind of the difference between, say, just a general illustration, concept art. A lot of people just like, here's a spaceship I drew. And it's like, well, what's the concept? And there isn't one. Which is a bit of a problem, I think. It's something we're working out, you know, in the school I teach at is, you know, what are things that we can do, what things can we pack into our projects and our courses at my university so that students are kind of getting a better experience. And, you know, one of the areas that department chair has really recommended is kind of, and me too at the same time, but he's kind of even looking a little bit at it from a different point of view a bit, which is good, is that kind of looking beyond the project a bit more. So like we've got a concept drawing class that I've been in charge of, and he's like, well, you know, what if we're kind of more specific about the outcome? So like we're doing environments and vehicles and things like that, but what if it was like a part of a game, but maybe it's more specific than that? Like what if it were a checkpoint in a game, which is pretty typical with campsites. And I was thinking maybe more cinematically about it, but he didn't say checkpoint, but he's like trying to think, well, what if it was a game or for a short film? And I'm like, oh, what if it's like a specific part of a game or a short film? You know, what if it's, again, like a checkpoint? So I was watching this video, this guy doing kind of an intro to the course he has on using Blender to create environment art for concepts, and he was doing it, kind of thinking about it as a checkpoint. It's not random, this is pre-thought out, so I've got a larger project I'm calling, kind of loosely calling Bramble, and what it is, what's it about, is humans have kind of settled on this alien world. They kind of went out there in a multi-generational flight as a full colony, and they were kind of forced to land early on, and now it's been several hundred years and they have a civilization, a large city. And what they found though when they got to this planet was it had something very strange about it. It kind of looks like a giant tangle of plants, like you know, vines and branches and things like that. A bramble. And so I'm calling it Bramble World as a working name. Hopefully not the last one. Let's see. Do you need ink now? And you know, on this planet there's evidence of, yeah, I probably need ink, a past civilization, but they appear to be long gone. You know, like there's artifacts they left behind, but there's no, like, you know, biological remains. There's no you know, fossils of them left behind. Just these large kind of structures kind of embedded into the plant life, or the so you gotta refill this thing up a little bit. Alright, that's probably enough. Anyway, they've been there for a long time. They still don't know what they're really for. They're kind of stuck because there's no you know, fossil fuels or any nuclear fuel. It's just this big giant tangle of these planets. There's some kind of power coursing through them, but it's not, you know, it's enough to, like, you know, have a city or whatever, but not enough to power like a rocket ship to get back to their get back into space. But anyway, there's these totems and these vaults from these aliens that are out there in the world. There we go. Now we're back. And oops, really come out quick. Nice little bit of pressure in there. Let me use it over here for a bit. But so anyway, they're kind of stuck. Anyway, they're not. There's these kind of reserves out there, so they stay mostly close to their main city. Um, and there's kind of these reserve parks out there that some people want to go out to that are illegal to go to for an assortment of reasons. And anyways, guides take them out. And this is just like spilling out really fast. I think I put a little too much ink in there. Guess we could do some of these like down-facing planes here real quick. But anyway, a bureaucrat from the city hires this guide to take them on one of these illegal excursions with his daughter. And they go tour some of these sites, and it gets separated. The little girl runs off, and trouble follows. Kind of stumbles into a larger thing going on with the planet, and what it's for, why it's there the way it is. Has this thing settled down yet? But I filled up multiple sketchbooks, kind of figuring out a lot of this. And so I think about doing a little comic, but I initially started this kind of as a concept project for myself, just as an update to my portfolio. And started just thinking about it. I kind of bring together a lot of things that I like. For example, I like going landscape painting and camping and spending time in the woods. And so I've got drawings that I've done of like real lichen on plants and things like that. And so, but that's kind of the story I've been working out. So, the people going on this little excursion, none of them are quite what they seem. The guide is not, the bureaucrat is not, and neither is his daughter. I just got ink all over my hands for some reason, somehow. I can't clean that off a little bit before I make a mess. Do I have a Behance or something? I don't. I do have my website. So my what's it called? My portfolio website for illustration is rainlandstudios.com. So RAINLAND Studios. And on the personal page, you can see a bunch of the drawings I've done before that I've scanned in, or some of the digital paintings and 3D models and things that I've done in the past. And you can definitely check that out if you're curious. So not a Behance, but an actual website. I've done concept art professionally. Mostly I teach these days. So I teach concept design, concept drawing. Oh man, that's what the problem is here. I think I didn't put the thing back on here properly. Just got to get its little collar back on there. There we go, nice and snug, and put it back in. And I've had that for a long time. It's my Instagram is the same as that too for posting concept arty stuff. I've got a poll going up right now in my recent story there. Don't usually engage with people on the Twitter place. I usually just, watch and see what people are talking about, look at the art stuff there. But, there's all the stuff going on with this Studio Ghibli filter from OpenAI, ChatGPT. Anyway, some people were commenting about it, And I was pointing out that in reality, ChatGPT, or OpenAI rather, has not actually really made any profit. Quite the opposite. They have pretty significant year after year losses. And while they're projecting significantly higher revenue this year, which I'm not sure why, but they are. They're saying they're going to triple their revenue this year. They've had pretty significant losses. I was just pointing that out. You got a Wild West place in your game dev? So I was just pointing this out, they've never really made a profit. And I said, so they pulled in this amount of money. And I was actually wrong about their revenue, the amount of their revenue. What I was saying is I thought they had made, their revenue was around like 9 billion. And their losses at the end of the year were around 4 or 5. I couldn't remember which one. And so people were arguing with me saying, no, what I said was that they had made 9 billion and then they had spent 5 billion and therefore 4 billion profit. And that's not what I said. I said their losses, not their expenditures, not their out, not their spending. They're actually, they had spent, according to that math, around 13 or 14 billion dollars, to make negative 4 billion or negative 5 billion. Turned out my numbers were wrong, but it doesn't improve the situation. So it was actually their revenue was $3.7 billion last year, so 2024, and then their losses were $5 billion. So they spent around $9 billion to lose $5 billion, which is a lot. People are saying like, "Oh, 4 billion profit, that's really good." And I'm like, no, there's not 4 billion profit. I said it's deficit spending. I even provided an example from my own government where they spend $7 trillion but only bring in 3 or 4, right? And it's called deficit spending, spending into the debt. But I was just pointing out that these companies are actually not profitable at all. Microsoft has said they don't see a path for profitability. They're pulling back on their contracts with ChatGPT and the creation of some of the infrastructure like the power sources and the servers that they need for these systems. So they haven't actually shown any ability to make any profit. They've been surviving entirely on venture capital funding, so people investing in them, hoping that they'll get some kind of return on that. And so far, that return has been nothing. Because the problem is people don't want to pay for this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of money, right? Someone was saying, well, this Sam Altman guy, he's getting rich off of this. And actually, he's not. He has gotten rich off of things before. So he's the CEO, and kind of a douche. I don't like him or anything. But his wealth actually came from prior investment things that he'd done, like an Airbnb and some other tech companies that he's been involved with for a long time. And not from ChatGPT. He does have a company that owns a minor stake in it, because it's supposed to be a not-for-profit. So but they aren't supposed to lose $5 billion a year. And then, but he gets a salary from ChatGPT or from OpenAI, which is around $76,000 a year. But he's just willing to work for that little, just because he believes that they're going to turn it into a for-profit later, and be able to make real money when they do a valuation and change that. Currently, Elon Musk is actually suing to prevent that, because he's got a partial stake in it, but he also, of course, has his own systems that he wants to push. But the Chinese thing, what's interesting with them, though, is the story about the $9 million chat program thing is not entirely accurate. They've spent a lot more money than that. I think they spent several $1 billion. It's just on that one specific project. It wasn't that high. or something like that. It's a little murky, and obviously it's also coming from inside China, so it's it's a little unclear. Yeah, well, that's really Altman. He has a long career of being a professional bullshitter. It's what he is. Like, I'm not saying he's a good person or anything, or he doesn't want to profit from stealing artists' work and insulting them and making a fake product and everything. I'm just saying he hasn't yet made any real money off of these systems. He may, in the future, but that's his plan. Is to steal everybody's stuff and make everybody else pay for it. I want to steal your stuff, make your government pay for the infrastructure, and then sell it back to you. That's been their stated plan, basically, is they're looking for help from the government to build out power sources and infrastructure for their servers and all that. Which Trump maybe up for. I don't know. We'll have to see. If he believes that's going to be a profitable way future or make him look good in some way, probably go for it. But Altman's definitely a liar. That's my point. Was just like, it wasn't that I was saying he's a good person or anything, but these other people were coming in and saying my math was wrong. They're like, oh, you're an educator, you can't even do math, and I'm like, that's not what I said. You didn't read the whole thing. Like, there's there's initial statement that this was what their profits or their revenue versus their losses were, and then I provided the example in the same statement. And maybe it could be worded better, I don't know, a little bit, but it's like, if you just read the whole thing, like, it's not really vague. It's pretty clear. I know that can be a little wordy, but maybe a bunch of people are like, they're making all this money, and I'm like, well, not yet. I mean, like, engineers probably are, the people they're hiring to make stuff, to write the code and build the infrastructure. NVIDIA's making a lot of money. They're building the shovels for the yeah, they also have that too, right? So they have that integration in those other areas. Wonder how Putin feels about it, though, being active in his Russia. Yeah, so there's certain advantages that the DeepSeek thing has, kind of that second polar of power in the world, right? That BRICS intersection, basically. I don't know how significant it is, but it's definitely not nothing. But again, my point was, that Altman had not actually had a profit off of this yet. Not that he doesn't intend to, not that he won't, not that he doesn't have a plan for it. Not that it's not his main focus. It's just that he hasn't. And so I think always helps when you're talking about these contentious issues to have like a real clear view, as much as you can, of what's going on. It's like I double checked those numbers. I should have checked them when I was commenting last night. That's what I remembered, and so I just figured that was correct because that's what I thought I remembered. It looks like I was just conflating a couple of numbers together by accident. Yeah. Oh, there you go. So Putin would be okay with that, I guess. Не волнует Путина. So, but yeah, that was my larger point. Was just that the Sam Altman himself had not actually really made any anything from this yet. He definitely stands to if there's a huge valuation and they change it from a non-profit to a for-profit, and he gets significant shares off of that, and then they open it up to the public for purchase, etc. Then for sure, yeah, he'll make bank. Конечно, я же грамотный человек. Каждый грамотный человек должен свободно говорить русский язык. Скоро мы все будем по-русски говорить, не так ли? But arba galėtume šnekėti lietuviškai. Nes truputį kalba ir ta kalba. It is funny though, I think about it, it's like, the average American just speaks English, which, people are like, well, it's just because they're not very educated, et cetera, but, your average American only needs to speak English, while like your average У тебя личный русский, где выучил язык? Я учился русскому в школе 4 года, потом в университете 1 год, потом жил в Прибалтике 2 года, очень давно, прямо после упадения Советского Союза с 97 года до 99. В основном в Литве, в Эстонии, немножко в Латвии. И потом продолжал учиться русскому в университете немножко, но в основном иллюстрации. Но редко бывает возможности говорить по-русски сейчас. Но когда такие возможности являются, я с удовольствием общаюсь по-русски. But, yeah. Oh, yeah? Yeah, during that time, it was a very, very difficult time in Eastern Europe. I remember because it was right after, so there's still a lot of the kind of Soviet style of things going on. There was people worked really strange hours, so they would work like 10 days in a row and work like 16-hour days and then take a week off. It was really, really strange. I remember people doing that, and it's kind of a lot of that type of thing. Но я стараюсь быть неожидаемым. Ожидаемся? Забуду. Недавно, может, год назад, была целая группа литовцев, которые делают этот лайвстриминг. Но они только здесь были один раз, но им было удивительно, что американец умеет говорить их язык. Но это как не особенно интересно, потому что в основном европейцы умеют говорить несколько языков. Но это потому что им абсолютно нужно делать это. Им обязательно благодаря ситуации и размер разных страниц там. I said some family support. It's part of a church I used to belong to. They had me out there teaching about Jesus and all of that. And not really interested in that anymore, but yeah, I learned a lot, which was, I think, good. A couple of languages at least there. Так что говорю, yeah, I saw that about Karl Kapinski. Yeah, well, Lithuania, it's funny. It is the, I think objectively, it's the cutest language. So they have something like 70 diminutive forms. So a way of saying that something is cute. You know, so like putting an uchka or whatever on the end of a word. And you can combine multiple ones together, which is interesting. Their language is also very old. So it's, I think, one of the oldest unchanged or least changed languages in the world for its age. It's old as Sanskrit. The only other languages that are like it is Latvian, which is a mixture of Lithuanian, Lithuanian, German, and Russian. And then there was another language that I don't think anybody speaks really anymore called Prussian. That was similar. But yeah, that's about it as far as so it's a very unique language in that its structure is very, very old. They have picked up some Russian words and things, due to the various occupations from the Tsars and then later the Soviets. And then, of course, there's also the Polish influence as well when they were part of the Polish Duchy. But I'm 1/4 Lithuanian. Я одна четверть литовца. Actually, it's possible I could get an EU passport. If I can find the genealogical information. I spent some time looking for it when I was at my parents' last time, but never found it. Because they moved the years back a little bit further, I think like 1905, and I think my family came over in 1906 to the United States. So that'd be kind of interesting if I could get a passport. Well, you know, it's, you know, learn one thing, you learn another thing, and you just kind of keep learning things until, you know, I guess you run out of interest or things. I haven't run out yet, though. I do forget a lot of stuff, so that helps with learning new things, right? Because I can pretend I'm learning something new when it's really just something old. You know, that old trick. But yeah, it's sort of, in some ways it's kind of a problem because it gets in the way of me finishing things because I always like to learn new things. Like even these pens right here, these are a relatively recent tool in my toolkit. I'm still learning how to use them properly. And I could just stick with the things that I know how to use, but then I'm like, well, what happens if there's this thing I don't know? And it's really, really useful. You know? Do you tell your wife it's art? Жена не любит искусство? Yeah, knowing things also confuses people, and I don't understand why it is that way. Because I tend to assume that I don't know enough, and then I just find out people don't know anything about anything. I'm talking to them. But seems like there's always something worth learning. Yeah, sure. Give a follow. Go check out the Instagram. That's usually where I post images and stuff like that. Brainland Studios. You see my larger project there that I'm working on. And definitely welcome to check that out. What time is it anyway? 4 o'clock. I'll be stopping anyway here in a minute. На работу ужас. В воскресенье обязательно работать. Какая там работа? Таксистом? Я заметил, когда я жил там в тех годах, что русские мужчины все были либо пьяные, либо интеллектуальные люди. И ничего нет между этими типами. Она тату-мастер. Интересно. Вопрос времени. Но где-то всегда поздновато. Где бы ты не был, всегда поздновато. Oh yeah? Free ride to Delphi, huh? Are the what's it, the prophets there, the witches still around in Delphi? So I need to look into this. There's like a Lithuanian art residency I should look into. Temple of Zeus. Лучше, чем работа таксистом. The Socrates guy you see posting in there once in a while, he's a taxi guy in Greece. Два раза посетил, да, 2 раза посетил Россию, но уже давно. Yeah, the trick with these pens is you kind of have to draw evenly with them. Just saying, the Kohinoor pens, they're a Czech brand, right? So they were popular through, I think, the 70s and 80s. I wonder how they remember there something about a prophet of Delphi or something? Is that maybe a Shakespeare thing? I just wonder, how they got into the West, because Czechoslovakia, as it was back then. So I'm surprised they separated, because they actually joined voluntarily before the Soviet Union, like became one country, because their languages are almost the same and the culture is very similar. Slovak and Czech. But then when the Soviet Union fell, they decided to separate, which I thought was interesting. Get an outline on here. Let that dry a little bit. And we're going to take a little break, put the dog out for his afternoon W. Even though he spent a lot of time outside today, he was having a good time sitting out there, taking in the sun. I go out there and check. You want to come in? He'd be like, what? No. I'm very happy out here. Okay. I was worried because we don't have a very tall fence and we're in the middle of the city, and all it takes is one person walking by and like, oh, look at that cute doggy, and they let him out the gate and it's gone forever, right? Hello, Buttercup. As you wish, right, Buttercup? Assuming you're familiar with Princess Bride. I am drawing a scene. So I've got this overall project I've been working on called Bramble. And I have this idea that humans have settled on this alien planet. And it's the planet itself. It looks like a giant tangle of branches and vines, and so but they're massive. Like kilometer thick branches. Just kind of bending, twisting, and folding over each other, going into the ground, going back up, very dramatically. And humans have settled there, and they can't leave. But and they're a generational colony, so they've been in space for hundreds or thousands of years on their way here, and anyway, they built a civilization there. So I've been thinking about what their city would look like, and so I was thinking, well, what if it was built on kind of a turkey tail fungus? Yeah, maybe. Princess Buttercup from The Princess Bride, the movie. Ever seen the movie Princess Bride? There's a girl in there. She's the princess. And anyway, the boy that likes her, he's always telling her "as you wish" instead of saying "I love you." And so that's what Princess is for. Princess Buttercup. Princess Buttercup. There's a book for it, but there's a famous movie that's pretty funny, comedy, called The Princess Bride. But it came out I think the late 80s, 88, 89, something like that. Considered a classic, generally speaking. Yeah, you gotta watch it. It's like one of my students named themselves Willow at my university. I'm like, so you're familiar with the movie? They never heard of it. And I was like, oh. So if I say, Willow, you idiot, they don't know what I'm talking about. Where's the fun in that? Just reminds me, I forgot about that chore. But yeah, it's a pretty classic movie. It's about a girl who gets snapped up to be the wife of Prince. She's just a regular girl, but they turn her into a princess, and then her boyfriend becomes a pirate and seeks to rescue her from her fate with Prince Humperdinck. And there's a Spaniard, there's revenge, there's a six-fingered man. Andre the Giant is in it. A bunch of other famous kind of comedians from the time also in it. It's kind of a classic comedy from the time period. It's not made super expensively, but there's no CGI obviously in it. Just wasn't a lot of that back then. And but it's medieval, and there's sword fights and rescuing and magic and torture. It's got it all. Well, the novel itself is a comedy, but it's kind of an adventure comedy, with some light romance elements in it. But yeah, the dread pirate Robert is seeking to get his Buttercup back, and he meets a guy who fancies himself a very intelligent strategist, and requires his companions as helpers on his trip eventually. One of them is a Spaniard, and he's looking for the killer of his father, who was a swords craftsman, who was killed by a guy that he was making a sword for. But yeah, it's definitely a classic if you haven't seen it. Well, there you go. But Buttercup it is, you know. I mean, are you sure? You could be, right? These days, you know, be whatever you want. Flip on a dime. Yeah, but that's the story. It's a classic movie. People like it that have seen it. It's very quotable. So you know, if you use the quotes from it, people will recognize them. You know, movies these days aren't that quotable. They like the scripts aren't as tight or something. I don't know what it is, but that one's definitely, it's, you know, the quotes are very famous from it. Well, it's the Buttercup, right? Who names himself after a little flower? You know, that's pretty typical, stereotypical girl thing to do, right? Especially when you don't have any idea of your voice or your look, and you just have the name. And nothing else to go on, you know. Yeah. Yeah, they just don't. Well, I think part of it is they're in such a hurry to make so many of them. So you look at how many movies come out. I remember as a kid, you know, I'm 46, coming on 47. Ugh. Um, but I remember movies being in the theater for like a year, sometimes a year and a half or 2 years. You know, they go through different phases, but they were in the theaters for a long time. You know, they'd be the main showing would stay there for 6 or 7 months. You might go to dollar theater at that point, and then maybe to VHS when those became a thing. After, you know, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, they'd be on tape. And now, you know, it's on streaming inside of a month and a half. And I think part of it is they just don't take the same amount of time to craft their movies anymore. They're just putting them out as quickly as they can, for the most part. You know, certain ones that are exceptions, but for a lot of it, it's just like how much can they produce as quickly as they can. And it just seems to me to be a race to the bottom. You know, like they're not really increasing the value of their product by putting out as much as they can, but they're trying to like maintain some kind of sense of profitability, but at the same time, like they've lost all their quality. And so I think one of the reasons older movies are written better is, you know, I think part of it is they had to make decisions about what they were going to do. And these days, we can do this in post, right? They don't have to plan ahead. They don't have to think about what they're doing. And then they're kind of running things off of audience tests and other kind of metrics, which I think are generally not really, you know, helping them. You know, because they're not basing anything on a strong artist's vision, or even a competent one. They're just kind of like making product as quickly as they can. And then they're surprised, you know, that nobody goes to watch, you know, Snow White or whatever, you know, movies coming out. You know, I think, you know, some of the complaints I heard about the movie, in addition to the usual kind of political ones, was that just the songs weren't very good. And, you know, compared to the original Disney ones that were also in the movie, it's like there was a distinct difference in their quality from when they were singing the original Snow White songs versus the new ones. I remember I watched Hunt for October. That was in the theater for a really long time. I think I remember The Fifth Element being in the theater for a long time. I saw that one a bunch of times, especially when it came to the Dollar Theater. I went and watched that one a whole bunch of times. I like that one a lot. It's interesting, there's a guy posting his concept art for that on Twitter. Just like every day, like there's just some new crazy image he did working on that movie. It's all traditional media too. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna watch the new Snow White either. But I mean, it wasn't made for me, right? Yeah, it's made for like theoretically for like 5-year-old girls, but it's definitely the demographic or parents taking them. But it doesn't seem like anybody really liked it. But yeah, people like the singing, like the girl who sings for Snow White, or the what's her face, Rachel, whatever. Like I said, she has a really great singing voice, but the songs themselves aren't very good. They're not as singable or as catchy as the original ones. But I think part of it's just you had to make a choice back then. You couldn't sit down and remake your movie after running some test screenings, right? You couldn't afford to do that, and so you had to like really nail down the quality as early as possible, and really capture the vision of your project. And I don't think there's very many. There's probably never really been that many filmmakers that do that, but they're just making so much more stuff that there's a lot more people, I think, of lower quality involved in the production of these projects now. And so, of course, you're going to get, a worse output. So, I don't know what else they would expect. Oh, well, I'm used to I'm used to helping my students fall asleep, right? But anyway, I need to put a pause on this. I'm going to come back to this tonight. We'll see. We need to get the dog out for his WALK, because it is his time of day. So, usually artists say you kind of get like a relaxed voice when you're working anyway. You can't really be a radio jockey when you're trying to work on a drawing or something like that. But let me pull that back a little bit. There we go. Because you're kind of focused and locked into what you're doing, and so it kind of relaxes you after a certain point where you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing my little drawing. It feels really nice. Just keep it rolling, etc., etc., till you're done. Right? So, yeah, if I was like, yelling at my drawing and pounding it down, that would be a very different experience, I think, than what we're working on right now. Maybe a little too heavy with that 50% on there. But Yeah, I'll be back in a bit. Got to get the dog out. He's already kind of giving me the side eye. I'm like, you know what time it is. I know what time it is. Yeah, there are other types that do the whimsical stuff. But anyway, yeah, thanks everybody that came in. I appreciate it. And we'll talk at y'all later.